Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Hello, and thank you for downloading The Bolder Woman here on Wisp Sports. This is Season 2, Episode 5, and I'm Chris Stafford.
This is your moment. This is your moment in time. This is your moment. This is your moment to shine, to shine, to shine.
Our guest this week is Shellie Edington from Ohio, who has reached somewhat of a crossroads in her CrossFit career at the age of 55. Having won medals in every colour, she's now focusing on new goals. In the 54 CF Games from 2014 to 2017, she won 5 gold medals, a silver and a bronze. Nowadays, Shellie also has a business to run, having developed Tumbling for Kids, a mobile gymnastic program which is based on her background as a gymnast when she was a teenager. But now her passion for CrossFit has given her a new perspective. She says being an athlete in your 50s is much different than when you're young, and surprisingly, it's better. For starters, I'm smarter about my body. After all these years, I finally know exactly what to do to keep myself strong, in shape, and healthy. I understand food and how it can benefit me. I understand recovery and relaxation. And I understand that I need to invest in myself. Shellie had to learn to overcome competitive anxiety with the help of a sports psychology, and it changed her mental game. And now, with her experience in CrossFit, she exposes the value of CrossFit health for women to stay stronger for longer. Hi, Shellie. Welcome, and thanks for joining me.
Hi, it's good to be here.
Well, it's interesting, your story, because you told me before that you are going through a transition with your career. You've been a very fit woman now for a long time and very successful at CrossFit, but you've come to a crossroads, you were telling me. So explain where you are currently in terms of your fitness and where you want to go next.
Well, in 2018, at the beginning, I had a knee injury, and so I had stem cells put in my right knee. And then I had like a rib come out of place, which I thought was my shoulder. So just been taking it kind of easy, I guess, training smarter, not harder. I worked up until September of this year with a coach who was more rehabbing for masters, Zach Greenwald of Strength Ratio. And so now as we enter into what would be considered the 2020 CrossFit season, I decided if I do want to ever compete again, that I need to start doing CrossFit regularly instead of say, oh, hey, let me just try the, first step of qualification. I do need to get back into doing CrossFit on a regular basis. So that's where I'm at right now. I've been about 2 weeks of that, and also just dealing with family dynamics, and trying to figure everything out with career. And, I do love working out and training. I'm just trying to find that happy place of being healthy and happy, and content with where I'm at, and helping others and, with my fitness level. So it's not an easy task, I'm coming to find. So, but I feel good. I can move, I don't have any pain or anything. I feel really good, which is amazing. So I like that part.
Well, that's great. That's a good place to regroup at, when you are pain-free, isn't it? Now, you have 3 adult girls as well that you've raised. So you're just, I suppose, at that point where, when you've been doing something for so long, it's like, what do you want next out of it? And why are you motivated? What is the motivation for you to continue with CrossFit? What challenges would you like to tackle?
I would like to be able to do CrossFit back at 5 times a week and have the ability to, feel good after the workouts and wake up the next morning, being able to walk. I know that sounds crazy, but when you train at the elite level, it's a little difficult to do when you're a master's athlete. Sometimes when you're training at such a high level and, getting up and moving, it can be very painful the next morning. I want to be able to feel good as I continue to train and see if, how my body handles this ramp up of just doing CrossFit regularly. And then if my body handles that well enough, then we can start, ramping up a little bit more and adding a little bit more and seeing how the body reacts. It's as we age, it's very nuanced, and you got to figure out, I can't do double unders, which is jumping rope twice, instead of single unders, doubles, and running. Like if I do those together, I'm like tore apart the next day. So just learning, now what this body can do and what it can't do, and being careful with it, and still trying to, see if I want to compete. It's really hard when you develop a lifestyle like I did. I keep telling people it's hard, to get off the CrossFit train once you start it, because it's such a year-round endeavor. You have to train every day. If you want to be elite, you have to earn it, and you have to work really hard. So it's just deciding whether my body can handle it, if I want to put it through that again. So I might just do CrossFit for a few months and be like, yeah, I'm good. This is where I want to stay. I just want to go to the classes and enjoy the community and helping others to, strive to be the very best version of themselves. So that's the place I would love to work, to get to be at some point.
Right. Well, you come from a very competitive background, don't you? Gymnastic background. So I'm wondering, when you talk about now as you age, the process of rehabbing and your body actually recovering from this intense fitness work, how much of that is body memory, muscle memory? How much does your body, the fitness that you once had, that core fitness, that base fitness, how much does that help you now as you resume training?
It's huge. I mean, basically not so much the muscle memory in my case, maybe in others, but it's more just the muscle itself. Having developed lean muscle mass at an early age, it has given me more muscle density as I age. I'm not atrophying like some people would if they didn't develop the muscle at an early age. That's why I started the company that I did, Tumbling for Kids, to get kids active and moving so they start beginning to, so they'll be successful at sports and develop lean muscle mass at an early age. The muscle memory is there, but if you don't have the strength, like when I started CrossFit in 2010, I could no longer do a pull-up or a push-up. And what's really sad is that I was shocked. I was like, what? I haven't done this for 30 years. How come I can't do it? So it was, once I started, getting the strength back, then the muscle memory started initiating and coming back. And so the gymnastics has really helped, obviously, in my CrossFit career, because the training is very difficult. And actually, it's why I loved CrossFit, because it had so many parallels to gymnastics. So, and still why I love it.
Let's revisit your gymnastic career then, because you were obviously very successful and serious about that. At what age did you actually start gymnastics?
Well, I didn't start gymnastics until I was 12, because there was not a gymnastics facility in my little town of Fairmont, West Virginia at that time. In my earlier days, like from age 3 to I think 9 or something, I took tumbling and dance. The tumbling was literally it was like they had a mattress, maybe a king size mattress, and that was the size of the room. And I would just kind of do back bends and, front limbers and back limbers, just mainly acrobats. And that's what I really loved, but they really didn't have the room or the knowledge to teach me what I wanted to know. And then the Rettons opened a gym in Fairmont, West Virginia called Aerialport. And I started there in 78 and started competing. And I stayed at Aerialport till I was about 18. And then when I went to college, I had really suffered from competitive anxiety and didn't really have any guidance or help. I'd do great, practicing at my gym, but then travel. And even if I had a competition at my gym, my anxiety levels were extremely difficult to handle. And so I didn't have any issues with that again until I started competitive CrossFit. And I was at the games in 2013, and I had a really bad episode. And I'm like, wow, this is, I don't want to be here. So it's just, learning how to deal with anxiety as a young gymnast, and which pretty much cut my career short, because I had a couple of full rides to some colleges, but I couldn't do it. It just was too much anxiety. and not really have, and when I wasn't at the gym, I was fine. So I just took the easiest course and just focused on academics at that point. And yeah, so I cut it short because I just was honestly didn't want to deal with the anxiety and the way I felt. I didn't know how to deal with it.
How about now as an adult? What did you learn from those experiences then that's helped you with your CrossFit career, Shellie?
Well, in 2013, when I had the panic attack at the games, it like totally went away right after I didn't qualify to go on. Like they had a cut, and I was fine. I was great. I mean, and so I realized I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, and I'm then trying to learn how to turn that pressure off. And with the season, it's a constant underlying low-level anxiety that I experience. And 14, I did great. I placed third because I didn't care. I was 49, top of my age group. I was like, yeah, I just want to go and have fun. That was kind of my focus. Was where I was kind of taking my brain. And then in 15, I really wanted to win. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I had moved up in age group to 50, and I had won all the qualifying events going up to it. But then when I got there, I had another anxiety attack. They'd kind of moved it from the practice playing field to the big field, like the big stadium. And I don't know, for some reason I had some issues with that mentally. And so when I came back home and was gearing up for 2016, I really had a lot of friends that were telling me that I needed to go see a sports psychologist. I needed to get this anxiety under control, that it could be done. And so when I qualified to go to the games in 2016, I sought out Dr. Todd Kayes, who's the author of Sports Psychology for Dummies. And I went and saw him like 4 times before the games. And I'd say after the first couple of visits, it completely changed my mental processes and training. And it made huge difference for me to understand that I needed to win the war between my ears. And actually went to the games and won that year. And in 2017, they moved the games from California to Wisconsin. I went there. I placed second. So for me, it was just getting over those mental hurdles that was holding me back. I had all the physical components and abilities at that point, but what was holding me back was my mind and learning how to steer it in the right direction. It was very simple and very liberating and empowering. So it was great. I learned a lot. I learned so much from that it's also transferred to my life, not having any anxiety about life in general. It's great. The mental training and subconscious exercises you can do because your brain just soaks it up. It loves it. And that's what it wants. So yeah, I learned a lot.
I'm wondering, there's going to be listeners, Shellie, who are wondering how you did process that, how you did overcome it. Would there be any top tips you could offer our listeners to overcome any competitive anxiety they may have?
The easiest one I can recommend is to go to Amazon or online and buy the book, Sports Psychology for Dummies, and do the exercises in the book. And I also recommend it for parents because they've got chapters in there for parents as well on how to help their children in sports or, in school, just things to say and not to say, because we don't realize sometimes how our words are being processed. For my case, it was how I was talking to myself. I had to do some exercises, just some things that he recommended I do. Like one was, do you remember the last time you fell? Or what would happen if a small child was riding by you on a bike and they fell? You'd pick them up and be like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Are you all right? Yada, yada, take care of them. And then he said, when was the last time you fell off the bike? And because I ride bike and I fell not too long ago. And I remember standing up and saying to myself, you idiot, and that's what I was saying to myself. And I didn't realize it till that moment, how mean I was to myself. Because then after that, I started listening to the kind of the playback in my head. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this to me. No one else. I don't know why I'm doing it, but I'm doing it. And now my coaches in the 80s when I was a gymnast did use a lot of negative reinforcement. that was another reason why I think I quit, because they in order to get me to do anything, they'd make me angry by calling me names or pissing me off, or so it was a very negative environment that I was walking into 7 times a week. And so I think that that's how I started talking to myself when I didn't perform well or do something well, instead of it's okay, get up, get back on it, fight, don't quit, be strong, you can do this, you're capable. Those are words that I started telling myself, like, instead of allowing myself to say anything negative, I would immediately hop in and think positive thoughts. Huge difference. I know it sounds so simple, and it is, but I was, until you know that you've got this problem, you can't fix it. So that was just one exercise, and he did multiple in his office that were great. But the book, it's like $10, and it's a life changer. It really is. And
I guess it's kind of loving yourself, really, isn't it? In being kind to yourself as much as anything.
It is.
Not giving yourself such a hard time when you do fall, whatever that may be, and metaphorically when you do fall in life, and it is having a different sort of compassionate attitude to oneself, it seems.
And I thought I was like that. I thought I did love myself. I thought I was nice to myself, until I started thinking back on moments where incidents occurred like that, which were, nobody cared, but I remember thinking that to myself. So, just doing the exercises kind of reveals what's really happening subconsciously. Because consciously, I would say to myself, "Oh no, I'm nice to myself."
We mentioned your 3 daughters, Kelsey, Callie, and Kayla, and they're all very active too. Do they reinforce that with you? Because you probably are very supportive, and if they take a fall in life, you're very supportive to them. Do they respond to you in that way and tell you not to beat yourself up?
Oh yeah, they're great. They're wonderful. I mean, if anything, it's been the hardest for them, me no longer competing, because they love it so much. They love watching me get out there and do it and kick butt and whatever. And, they're very strong advocates of anything I want to do, and very supportive of my dreams and goals. And, that's why when I figured all this out, I was so shocked, because I have a tremendous support team. You can't do CrossFit at the level I was doing it at and not have financial support and, family support. You won't be able to do it. It's too much. They would allow me to be, they called me CrossFit mom during the seasons part of the season where I really had to ramp up and train a lot and get ready for the games. I just couldn't be there for them mentally and physically like usual. And they understood that. But it's a lot, because it's too much to be like a top level athlete and have to be a mom and a wife and a daughter. And it's difficult at times, and a sister, and you have to have a family that understands, okay, she's in CrossFit mode now, I got to leave her alone. I can't, if there's situations or fires that need put out, we can take care of it. Mom can't deal with it right now. So that's hard, because as the, matriarch of the family, you want to be the one taking care of those things and making sure that everything is running smoothly, and take care of your, keeping the home fires burning, I guess, so to speak. But when you're swimming at 5 o'clock in the morning and training at 9 o'clock in the morning, trying to get a nap, trying to make sure you get all your food in, and running a company and coaching, and then having to go back to the gym in the evening, pretty much 5 or 6 times a week, it's exhausting. And it's hard to have anything left for anyone else. It's a pretty selfish sport in some ways.
Tell us about your business, Shellie.
Okay. I have a mobile gymnastics company. It's called Tumbling for Kids, and we pretty much service daycares and parks and recs. We go into preschools and teach early foundational sports readiness skills by using gymnastics. We bring in little beams and bars and mats and wedges. We basically learn how to take turns. Really helps in the parks and recs with social awareness for children that are not like in preschool yet. It can be like their first, for many of them, it's their first sports, activity ever. It's their first sports experience. And I want that to be very positive, but I also want them to learn something. And I'm also in many cases, especially in the parks and recs, the parents are there, and I'm educating them as well. So it's multifaceted to be able to get those little things in there where you're like, this is a great way to help your child continue to career, their sports, lifestyle, whatever, get on that correct trail, and I thank them for investing in their child's, physical education. Because, some people aren't brought up that way. They're just trying to educate, and then using myself as an example, like I'm 55 years old and they're like, what? So being like, you can, if I have the kids walking up the wall, I'm like, parents, this is a great exercise for you to do at home. Get moving, stretch out with them at home. Just a way to obviously get the kids moving and encourage the parents at the same time. But definitely at the daycares, it's something to be able to give them an outlet that's still educational. But if it's snowing outside, it also teaches them physical activity in a way that is in a learned environment, a fun learned environment.
Well, obviously CrossFit is your chosen sport. I'm always curious as to why people choose that particular sport and the discipline of it. What is it that really grabs you? That, you could be kicking a ball around, you could be hitting a ball, there's so many choices today for women.
True. And for me, like I said, I think the parallels to gymnastics, when I was working out at like Lifetime Fitness or a large gym that has lots of equipment, none of that equipment has ever appealed to me. And through my rehab with my knee and then with my rib shoulder situation, I had to do a lot of, dumbbell stuff and just very like 30 seconds of work, 30 seconds of rest, a lot of, kind of keeping my body in a not over the top mode. And now that I've come back to CrossFit, my body just takes to it like, I don't know, it loves it. Like the physical adaptations that have occurred just in the past couple of weeks of doing actual CrossFit are huge. It's the body I like. For me, it's just like my body's, I don't know, on crack, or it loves it. It just, my body really takes to it. And I'm so thankful that Greg Glassman invented it. And, a lot of people will say, and I used to say, it's just exercise, but honestly, it's different. It's the intensity level, the constantly varied elements that we do. It's never the same. My brain just loves it. There's no monotony. There's no, I don't look at a workout and go, oh, this is going to be boring. It's like, okay, this is going to be crazy. This is going to be horrible, and just being able to be with the community again has been huge. For me, that is I've really missed being with my community. I've always had to, through the rehab process this year and a half or so, I've been kind of off in my little corner doing my little stuff, and I don't really get to be with the community as often as I like to. When I work out with other people, it really pushes me, and it really pushes them because, of course, they want to beat me. And so it's, I think that's the huge thing in CrossFit is that you're commiserating together and you're also pushing each other.
Sounds like teamwork, although an individual sport. So give us an idea then, Shellie.
Yes.
Of what would typical routine would be, and how many days a week you would work out, and what those workouts might look like for somebody maybe trying to get into the sport, or the start of a fitness regime.
Sure. I work out 5 times a week, and so they have classes throughout the day, and I generally take off Mondays and Thursdays. And I'll go to maybe the noon class. They'll warm us up. We always get a good warm up in, and then strength training or skill. Strength training can be squats, it can be bench press, it can be deadlifts, whatever the programming is for the day. The programmer looks at the whole year and makes sure that we get all the fundamentals in that we need throughout the year. So it's kind of, you can trust the person. Obviously, the owner of the gym, Mitch Paddock, my coach for, since I started CrossFit in 2010, is amazing. He's awesome. So I know that whatever he puts on the board is going to be good for me. And then after that, you have like metabolic conditioning. It's a workout which is going to combine maybe, some workouts will be just go run a 5K, which is never my favorite, but whatever. Some might be row of 400, do some work on the barbell, do some pull-ups and push-ups, go back to the rower. They are different times. Sometimes it can be so many rounds for time, or sometimes it can be how many rounds you could do in 15 minutes. So it's just constantly varied. And we have lots of different movements in CrossFit. So there's lots of different things to learn, but you learn them in increments. We have a class that we call On Ramp, which brings people in, and they start at the bare basics of CrossFit, and they learn all the movements to get them confidently prepared to go into a class and know what they need to do. But then the coaches also, are always there watching for correct movement, trying to head anybody off at the pass that could possibly get injured. But yeah, it's a great 1 hour workout. I love it. And most of the people that start in our on-ramp class and go through the 6 weeks and come to at least 15 classes out of that 18 class period, enroll and become a part of the community. It's just with anything, if you only give it a couple of weeks, you could probably give up. So you have to really kind of commit to it, at least a 6 week, commitment. So
that's an hour a session then for 5 days a week, which really isn't an enormous amount. But I'm guessing that you would increase that once you get closer to a competition, right?
Right. Yeah. Now for me, right. Yeah. If I'm going to compete, then I'm going to have to add 15-minute blocks here, 15, then more time and then more time. It just increases as you begin to build that base, a foundational base physically that you need in order to go to the games and do 4 days of working out, so or 3 days, whatever they happen to throw at you. But it's being able to sustain, more than just one workout, a day. You've got to be able to go multiple days in a row. So getting yourself on that, when I did compete, I would get myself kind of on a biorhythm. It would be okay, our competition usually is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You have to change up your schedule a little bit and kind of get onto that schedule so your body is prepared for that. But generally, I do like I said, Tuesday, Wednesday, I take Thursday off, and I do Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I've got a 3-day block in there, which, on Monday I'm so ready for my rest day. And I literally just rest. I don't, I coach and I run around a lot, but, on my rest days I don't do anything. So beyond that.
Well, you've won medals of every color now in CrossFit Games. Are there any personal goals now in competition? I mean, you said at the start of the show that, you have your own personal milestones that you want to achieve, once you get back into fitness. But are there any competitive goals that you want to reach?
I don't know. That's part of the problem. I have friends that keep going back to the games, and I think if I had never won it, I probably would want to just go back so I could try to win. But now I'm just kind of I don't know really what I want to do. I'm actually embarrassed to say this, but kind of intrigued by it. The Titan Games, I've been working on my application for that, and the video, I don't know whether they would take someone my age, but I think that would be a cool thing to try. It's a fun game show. I don't know whether you've seen it, but anyway, I think that would be fun, but I don't know. And I just, honestly, at this point, I just got to see if I enjoy doing CrossFit still, and if I would want to ramp it up and do what I was doing before, or see, I don't even know whether I can, whether my body will allow me to. So it's just keeping all those things in mind and all those balls in the air and making a decision. I don't have to make one right away. But if I could ever compete in CrossFit again, I think I would, for sure.
Well, it sounds as if it's something that people can even start later on in life. I mean, I know you're in your mid-50s now, but you've been doing it obviously quite a while, and you started before, and you were active for a long time. So is this something that no matter what age you're at, you can, under guidance? I would imagine it's important to have a coach, have a personal trainer there to step through, the incrementally to increase your strength, because I know from personal experience, you're very susceptible to injury, especially if you don't use yourself correctly, right?
Well, that's the great thing about, CrossFit gyms. There's always a coach there. Also, there's been a huge move for CrossFit corporate from the sport end of it to CrossFit health. I mean, Greg Glassman, the founder, has really kind of came back to like his roots as to why he started CrossFit. And it wasn't for, the elite to be on display. He was like, I want someone who's 65 years old who can't bend down to tie their shoelaces. That's what I want them to be able to do. I want them to be able to get down and get back up. So he's all about the new, the new way CrossFit's going is it's called CrossFit Health. So people can go to the CrossFit.com website and they can see, what they can do in their home, in their living room. They are really making a push to get rid of kind of educate people about big soda and diabetes and everything like that. So definitely you can start at any time in your life, get off the couch, get moving, do something. And I do believe CrossFit is a great way to do it.
Get stronger, get healthier.
No matter what your age.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no matter what your age. Yeah, they're not going to like when I was at the big box gyms, I'd say, oh, this kind of bothers me, like my shoulder or whatever. And they'd say, okay, well, maybe you need to rest for like 6 weeks. And I'd be like, what? I just constantly felt like I was being sent out to pasture. Like, you're too old. And I was like in my early 40s. And so it was just, I think for them, a lot of them, it's like they're really worried about the liability. And then when I went to CrossFit, one of the first classes, they said, let me see your squat. And I squatted. I like barely bent my knees. Coach goes, that's not a squat. And I said, well, if I squat any further, it's going to hurt my knees. And he's like, well, if you don't squat, you're going to lose your knees. So just learning full range of motion, learning how to mobilize, learning how to use a foam roller, taking advantage of chiropractors and going to get massages, just simple things that, we're not doing to take care of our bodies. And the most important tool we have, is our body. And we have to learn to take care of it and have a good coach, a good chiropractor, and a good massage therapist. Those are 3 things I tell people all the time, that no matter what they do, especially if they want to compete, you've got to have those 3 elements.
Great advice, Shellie, and some inspiration there, I think, for all of us. Shellie, thank you so much for taking time to do this, and the very best of luck in whatever path you decide to take going forwards, how competitive you are, and I'm sure you'll stay fit for certain. So thanks again for taking time to come on the show. Really appreciate it, and the best of luck.
Thank you, and thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm Sam Cornett, a proud WISP ambassador and a Canadian squash player. I'm grateful to find all my sports news in one place, and I love the in-depth coverage and variety WISP offers. To follow me, check me out on Instagram, samantha.j91. Thanks for listening and supporting WISP.
And if you'd like to hop over to our website at wispsports.com, just drop down from the Listen tab to the Bolder Woman, and you'll find the show notes for this episode with links to Shellie's website and her social media. And whilst you're there, take a look around all the other shows that we do here at Wisp Sports. There is something for everyone, with a lot more shows, new shows this season, and new hosts, including Tucker Center Talks with Nicole Lavoie from the Tucker Center for Research for Girls and Women in Sport. There's also The Mind Matters with sports psychologist Dr. Jenny Susser. And also back for a second season is the Roller Derby Show, The Lovely Beatrix, and Hockey Talk with Shannon Miller. And you can, of course, find all of these on your podcast app. Just look for Wisp Sports. And you can also join in the conversation on our social media at Wisp Sports. We'd love to hear from you, and you can also email us directly with any comments, questions, or suggestions to info@wispsports.com. And as well as the regular recorded podcasts that we offer you at Wisp Sports, we also have a new weekly live show, the Wisp Sports Desk, which can be found on the Podbean app. So just hop over to Podbean and look for Wisp Sports, where every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern, Nancy Gillen and I bring you the very latest in news from women's sports around the world. Just look for Wisp Sports on the Podbean app. I'll be back in 2 weeks' time for another episode of The Bolder Woman. Until then, thank you for listening and helping us turn up the volume on women's sports.
And every time you hit the wall, remember you can have it all, even the mighty fall. closer than it's ever been. And now it's more than just a win. It's where your life begins. Yeah. There's no holding back, no overthinking. You've been reaching all your life. This is your moment. This is your moment in time. This is your moment. This is your moment to shine, to shine, to shine. This is your moment. You got to give it all that you got. Don't hesitate and don't ever stop. You've spent a lifetime waiting for this day. This is your moment. Now's not the time for you to hold back. Don't overthink, it's time to react. The moment has come, don't let it slip away, away, away. It's closer than it's ever been, and now it's more than just a win. It's where your life begins.